Well, Walmart releases their packs way early, but it's kind of sporadic on how they do that. But how is this impacting the market as we are seeing this game releasing this Friday, October 31st? And how might this impact the prices in the future? All of that and more starting right now. So yeah, we had a lot of really interesting things happening. I mean, 2 weeks before the game is supposed to release, we had stuff starting to pop up in Walmarts. That was something that I didn't necessarily see coming. Yes, I did expect that this game would eventually be able to make its way to Walmart, Target, and things of that nature. We've seen that with Yu-Gi-Oh!, Magic the Gathering, even Lorcana for that matter. At least Lorcana for Target, not for necessarily Walmart. But with that being said, this is going to be interesting because this game isn't even necessarily out. It's the first set in general, and the only thing that's really making it kind of stand out as a brand new trading card game is the fact that Riot is behind it with the League of Legends world. And so it's going to be interesting to see how this continues to impact things, because just by the fact of it actually being in Walmart, that gives me a little bit more hope with the allocations and how difficult it might be to actually get packs. Now, there were a couple of cases where people didn't necessarily get to buy all the packs off the stock. There was a couple of places in of the Walmarts that were only allowing 10 packs per player or per person, and that's, you know, kind of interesting on how they go about doing that as well. Target does things like that, though we haven't seen any packs in Target. And so it's been very interesting to see how all of this has come apart, because everyone has now been posting on X, Facebook, and anywhere else, YouTube as well, on the packs that they have been able to find and what their pools have been. And guys, it has been really interesting because overnumbered, signed overnumbered, and things of that nature have already started to make their way into the market. We even had something like a signed Darius overnumbered card that ended up going for about $1,200 and things of that nature, even a week before the game is actually set to release. And there is a lot of hype going around this, but it also feels like in some ways it might be inflating the market. We're seeing Kaisas, for example, being sold out at around, what was it, like $44, something like that. Dead Blue Predator being sold out at $39. We'll be taking a look at the prices later in the video. But even with that, that's something that is so curious to me to see, is that even with all of this, there's a lot of cards that are already being sold and sold out for that matter as well, even at a premium. There was a market in the in Canada, for example, that was selling Kaisas for $70, and the few that were actually in supply on there ended up getting sold out. Now, I get this. A lot of people will probably be looking at this and being like, this game's going to be so expensive for the set one. I don't want to have to spend $120 to $170 just on 3 cards so I can get my 3 Kaisas or whatever it might be, or having the Dead Blue Predators being $44, $45 and I got to spend, $160 to be able to get all the Dead Blue Predators. Those feelings are very valid for sure. And it is something to be scary because we're venturing into the unknown, especially with the coming out of this game on October 31st. And we're already kind of treading water a little bit. We're already getting some warning signs. It seems like this is shark-infested waters, and Riptide Rex might be coming out and hitting us with a painful 6 damage. And so it'll be interesting to see how this continues to develop, but I don't necessarily think that this is going to be all that big of an issue, at least. Yes, again, like I said in the last Market Watch video that we did last week, this is going to be something where we are probably going to see an initial spike. We do have very big tournaments coming out. Orlando, the 25K, Houston, the regionals by Riot themselves, and then also the 10K in Vegas. There was also one in Georgia that I think was about a 10K as well that was just announced this last week. And so a lot of really interesting things that are coming our way with this, and this is going to be creating a lot more hype with people trying to collect this card game. It can be very difficult then to maybe think that we're going to be able to get our hands on these cards. Even if we are able to find these cards in stock, we're going to be paying an arm and a leg to be able to even get these, and that can be a little disheartening because This is a game that already has had a lot of traction being built in English as a whole, just mainly due to the fact of the online tournaments and the online community that has already been built. We've been able to see for the past 2 months how this game has developed in China, how the releases have gone about, how 4 regionals have already taken place, and even just a lot of regular best of 1 and best of 3 tournaments that have been happening throughout all of China. There's a lot of hype there and a lot of really exciting things coming our way with that. So we got to be a little bit hesitant with what is happening. And I completely agree that this might be, you know, a little bit intimidating and a little bit scary on what might come. But I don't necessarily think that this is going to be as big of an issue as what we're thinking. I think probably for the first 3 weeks, maybe a month, we might see a big uptick in pricing. A lot of people trying to go for the cards as quickly as possible. Again, every Monday, we will be creating these videos for you to follow the market, mainly on TCGplayer for the American continent in that regard. But still, this is going to be interesting to see how all of this ends up coming about for us. And so definitely stay tuned. But I do think probably the first 3 weeks, we are going to see a spike, just people hyping for the cards, build their decks as quickly as they can so they can play test in person and try to get things going as quickly as possible so that they can compete at the highest level. So with that hype and everything that is going into this, how did all the Walmart packs end up impacting the market, especially on TCGplayer? And this is going to be really interesting because this is something that is a little bit unorthodox with how things are going to be circulating around. And so, you know, there's again going to just almost more so hype up everything for everyone here. And that's going to be something that'll be interesting to follow as well, because it's like, you know, we almost have a lot of FOMO here going on in the community right now, trying to find these packs, trying to get things going. I mean, heck, I even had a dream that I wasn't able to necessarily, or that I found all these packs and everything, and even woke up in my dream and continued to find more packs at different ones as well. And then I woke up and ended up having 0 packs. And so this is going to be really interesting to see, especially as we continue to look at this. First and foremost, of course, the booster boxes. This is going to be interesting because it kind of had a falling down to where a lot of these boxes ended up being at about, what was it, at like 182, 185. So it did come down from being at 210 the previous week, which is really interesting to see. And I think also this will continue to go down as we continue to get closer and even after release as well. I still don't think it's going to be about what I paid at my local game store, which was about 150. I could still see these boxes being at around 170, but again, time will tell. And I really think that probably the best way to go about this is going to be your local game store. Now, with that being said, of course, this is going to be a little bit difficult for some people at their local game store community, just because depending on where you are in America, it's going to be tougher for you to be able to get products. Some stores, even if you only have like the one local game store in your community, and they're opting just to not even have any Riftbound in that case, and you're not just going to get product, period, you know, and that is horrible too, because then you're like, well, I really want to play this game, I really want to go to Houston, I want to travel around and compete in this game, and what am I going to be able to do about it? Well, I got to pay the premium now in order to play that. That really sucks. And hopefully these boxes will be able to come down to about 150, 140. You know, they were retailing on Amazon and on Riot, for example, for 120 and whatnot, but those sold out way too quick in that case, and that was really sad. Really glad that I picked out my Origins Proving Ground. That was really good to be able to see. Very helpful. Ended up paying about $50 after shipping, because Riot charged, what, like $13 for shipping on a $30 box, and then like $5 of taxes, so it came out to $50. That's still way better than 127. Now, again, I feel like this is the FOMO. Annie is starting to grow in the community. Master Yi really starting to be, or has already been stated as the top deck. Lux and Garen, Garen, if you're playing the Aurora, he is somewhat viable as the Garen Aurora, but not very much so. But still, we take a look at the rest of this, and it's looking still really promising. We've seen a couple of pricing drops. Still good to see, like, you know, the Cleave, the Retreats, and things of that nature. Lecturing Yordle, 25 cents. even the Defies and whatnot. And a lot of these good base cards also end up coming out in the structure decks as well. And so when you do pick up these structure decks, for example, Jinx, when you're doing the release events at your local game store, they come already with a lot of really great stuff. They even come with a pack as well. So there's a lot of really good help that you can have on getting things going, especially with finding them for around $19 will really help. Even Riptide Rex, for example, sure, common in this case, but still 25 cents, awesome to see. Fight or Flight, 10 cents. And I mean, these are going to be a lot of the common cards. Now, I know what you're thinking. Silent. There's going to be a whole lot of the chase cards that we're going after that are going to be horrible. The Kaisas are already going around $44, $45. The Dariuses, the Thousand Tail, the Time Warps, all of this, they're going, and it's just going to continue to climb in price. Maybe. We'll see. But right now, a lot of this is actually looking very promising, you know, for the majority. Falling Star still being at, you know, $20, you know, that's definitely doable here, and definitely about the price that I was thinking it would be at. Yes, it does kind of suck just based off of the rarity, but it is going to be a chase card for multiple decks. Darius is a little bit surprising. He was going up to around $15 to $20. He's come down to about $10, which is really good to see, and some interesting things to be able to see around that. Because, I mean, he's played in pretty much any red deck you're wanting to run Darius. He's just going to be so good in that regard. Teemo fell a bit in price. He was going for around $10. Now he's going around $4. Now, the Kaisa Legend, that's not necessarily going to be expensive. That's reassuring. And the interesting thing, too, is if you do end up going to your local game store for these release events, you are also going to get a little promo pack where you are going to get the legend that you are playing as a alternate promo, if I remember correctly. If not, it's 2 random legends that are going to be foiled and alt art for you to be able to use in this case. Maybe not alt art. No, I don't think alt art. Sorry, scratch that. Imagine I knew what I was talking about, and let's continue. But you are going to get at least 2 legends that are foiled in the alternate art pack, which is really cool. Ari, again, being at $8. That's a little bit of a price drop as well. Again, very reassuring. Thousand Tail Watcher, about a $3 price drop. Was it about $20, $23? You're seeing, yes, that the market price is stating him at 23. Definitely normal there. Nothing big to see there. No real surprise. I mean, again, a lot of these prices are feeling moderately healthy. There was even like a lot of these times, a lot of the big chase cards and like Star Wars, Lorcana and things of that nature were going between $15 and about $55, for example. Like the Maui Half Shark, for example, is, you know, about a $45, $55 card, depending on the time of the year and things of that nature. And so just really interesting to see how all of that goes. A Snoke in like Star Wars was like $25 at one point. And so this is still feeling like very healthy prices for a card game, and we haven't even necessarily had the full market actually unleash for this to actually, you know, change the prices. So a lot of these prices I still believe are going to fall. Now, at the same time, Hourglass, I'm kind of catching my eye on this. 2 listings, $12.99, market price $21. Very eye-catching there. That is going to be one of the biggest chase cards if you are playing Master Yi, a very powerful and good deck in this case. Sabotage, very expected there on that. That's a great side card. Set also even like main decks it. A couple others also main deck it. It's a great card to really slow down your opponent. Very helpful there. Tasty Fey Folks, such a good card. Really great in the Master Yi. And even just really any green in this case. We're also seeing Tasty Fey Folk and Ari a lot as well. Just so good as a card. $5. Awesome. I will take that all day, every day. And I really think he's probably one of the best cards in this game. Being able to accelerate him. And also when he dies, you're going to go ahead and channel 2 runes and draw a card. Okay, cool. Sign me up more for that. Now, set again, $5. Awesome. Again, a lot of these prices very manageable, not too big. You know, Kaisa, even though this isn't the main Kaisa that most people are going to be chasing, $10 makes sense. Not a big deal. And this is just looking good all in all. There's a couple of things, of course, that are going to be the outliers. Primal Strength even ended up falling down in price a lot more as well. Timo, of course, is going to be a little bit higher in price. Also won a tournament finally in China, so that was great to see. You know, $8 here, great card. Has seen a little bit more play. Yasuo, was it Yasuo that was playing it in the deck? I'm trying to remember. He's not mainly a main, but you can still go ahead and play around with that. Very interesting stuff to be able to see there. But again, things are looking healthy. Packs, of course, are still kind of preposterous, being at $17 in this case. Ugh, that's not looking very good. But again, that's because we're also still in the pre-sale. There's a lot of people who just, you know, want to get packs, get them opened and things of that nature, and see how things are going to unravel for them. But again, look at how low a lot of these prices are. Even Draven, $6 there, really good price. Now, this is not something to definitely bat your eye at. You're looking at that and you're like, there's one listing for 99. There's one listing for 99. That's just how it is, you know. When there's no competition, you can set the price. And so that's going to be the really interesting thing about that is, yeah, again, market price is saying more so around $20. Definitely a lot more feasible, a lot more believable there. By being $10, definitely correct on that. That feels very, that feels well priced there. Otherwise, yeah, everything else is actually looking fairly good. Now, of course, Dead Bloom Predator, again, like what we said, he ended up selling out at around $44 now, or around $40. Sorry, the price is right there. This is going to be interesting to see. I could see him maybe having, again, especially an opening weekend of this game being released. I could see this these packs actually, or Dead Bloom Predator going up to maybe 45, maybe $50 in the hype of the opening weekend. And then as the cards from opening packs continue to flood the market, people not necessarily maybe playing a orange deck in this case, and they're like, you know what, I don't need to play Dead Bloom, I'm just going to go ahead and play my stuff instead of, you know, like Kaisa or Annie or things like that. So I'm going to just sell my Dead Bloom Predator, and that will really bring the price down. More competition is definitely going to be better. Showstopper was something that absolutely surprised me here, but, you know, at the same time, not necessarily at the same time. $30. Again, this is going to be a card to definitely watch to see how it continues to seem to flood the market here. It's going to be fun in the sense of if this card ends up climbing up a little bit in price. Set doesn't necessarily have a whole ton of popularity in China. It has some here, and we've seen some of these in the online tournaments that we've been playing, but it hasn't necessarily made its way into the competitive meta as much as what we would probably see, especially considering where like Kaisa, Yi, Darius even is, you know. Even Annie has been seeing a little bit more play in these local online tournaments that I've been seeing than Set, which is really interesting. But again, that's mainly due to Sold Out just absolutely owning up the market here. Time Warp, $30, little scary. Again, you're normally going to be running 2, maybe 3 in this case, but most of the time, Ari's going to be using a lot of this, as well as Kaisa. It's become more of a staple. 1 in the main deck, 2 in the side deck, or 1 in the side deck in this case. So it is going to be a little bit more of a chase card. Also, just on top of that, it is a beautifully designed card, and some people do just want to collect the cards for the art. So that's how it is. Kaisa, the big chase card. If you're running red, well, you're probably running 3. If you're running Kaisa as the main deck, you might be running between 1 and 3. Just depends on the deck list that you're deciding to use. So just really interesting ideas and units to be able to use here. It's going to be interesting to see. Going for $47, it would really suck. Like, I could buy an entire booster box, and I'm only going to get 3 cards in their Kaisa. That can really suck, but at the same time, you know, again, this is the biggest chase card. Kaisa is the best card, or the best champion in the game, the best legend in the game right now, the most popular at least, just with the draw ability, the competitiveness, as well as the consistency. So this makes a lot of sense. Again, though, it sold out. There were some listings, but it wasn't necessarily anything to write home about. I mean, heck, even, I mean, Set Brawler here is only going for 20 here, averaging usually around 26, but again, the market has kind of fallen a little bit. And otherwise, everything else is kind of a little bit normal here. Now, of course, these alt art cards are going to be going up a lot in this case, just especially if they are signed. the market is not yet defined for these signed cards. And so, you know, people are going to be, you know, hyping it up, seeing who wants to actually pay the premium. I'm even seeing on the local on the Facebook Riftbound groups, people are saying, hey, you know, there is going to be all of this hype around it. Just put the price out there. You know, put it out for $1,500, and if someone dares to buy, awesome, you just profited immensely for that. So, you know, that's yet to be defined. But also, Cathian Rain, $50. That's scary. That is a little bit scary. Again, this is probably going to be a 2 of and a side deck, but that also really sucks because that's $200 for or $100 for your side deck, just alone. And that's tough. That can be something to really break the bank on this, especially when you're already bought your ticket for Houston, you're already paying for the flight and hotel, and now you're trying to build up your deck. That can really suck. And so it'll be interesting to see how this continues to kind of play out with this as well. Again, though, I do still think that these prices are going to fall. And so, yeah, this is pretty much going to be the market. All in all, the alt arts are selling between $50 and $100, and so it's going to be interesting. $150, sorry. So it'll be interesting to see how everything continues to unravel here. But again, we are still 5 days from release, and so it's going to be interesting to see how all of this continues to come about and develop as we get ever closer to Halloween night when this game actually releases. I'm still not necessarily worried. I still think we are going to be in a really good situation here with how all of this is going to unravel. Again, I think we do need to exercise some patience, but it is completely justified to feel that little bit of panic, that little bit of hesitation and worry that if I can't get my hands on packs, I am going to be breaking my bank just to be able to play this game. That's not worth it for me. I'm stepping out. Totally valid. Totally get that. And again, it's just going to be so interesting to see what this allocation is going to be as we get ever closer to this game being released. Are the local game stores going to get a lot more product than what we initially think? Is Walmart and Target going to be able to go ahead and get product, and not only that, keep up product as well, so that we are able to continue to get packs and open packs as this game continues to progress, especially into the holiday season? Time will tell. But anyway, with that being said, what are your thoughts about this market so far? What are your thoughts also on Walmart being released? Go ahead, releasing the packs early. Go ahead and let me know down in the comments below, and feel free to like and subscribe to this video or to this channel as well. Very helpful on everything that you guys do here, and we have a lot more exciting content coming your way. We are going down to Vegas to compete on the 23rd, and we will be sure to blog all of that up as soon as we can. Until then, though, guys, have a good one.